This is Remix Report with your hosts, DJ JD and DJ J Spring.
Today's video brought to you by YourDJSkins.com. Pimp your gear today.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Remix Report. I'm DJ JD.
I'm DJ J Spring, and it was a very eventful weekend.
It was.
This past weekend. Eventful at the clubs, for sure.
Are we going to talk about all these events?
Some of them we will, some of them we won't.
It's one of those weekends.
Yeah, it's one of those weekends.
This TMZ worthy?
I don't know if I go that far. Although the week did get off to a very unfortunate start. As we all know, the events that happened in Newtown, Connecticut, and as most of you guys know, JD and I are from Connecticut. So that was kind of, I don't want to say that set the tone for the weekend because, I mean, obviously when things like this happen, they're all over the news, but eventually we have to move on with our lives. Doesn't mean we forget about what happened at all, but it was kind of, I think everyone was thinking about it at times throughout the weekend for sure. So we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, we do have a little DJ tie-in to that unfortunate scenario, but why don't we talk about our gigs this weekend as we normally do at the onset of the weekend recap.
Okay, I guess I'll go first this time. I was at Shrine on Friday night, and that was a pretty busy night.
Good to hear.
It went pretty well.
Any stories from that night at all?
Should there be any stories from that night?
Oh, there's.
I had a few visitors. I had a few visitors in the booth, and
things got interesting.
They got a little drunk, probably more than they should have. But it was still a fun night at Shrine. I don't know what you want me to say about this.
That's far enough. I think. Yeah. Okay.
I think they regretted it.
How was the rest of the weekend?
The rest of the weekend was pretty good. I was at Scorpion Bar on Saturday, and I don't know, we say the same thing every Saturday at the casino is just always insane, so that was no exception on Saturday. And then I was back at Shrine on last night, on Sunday, a non-club night, and that was a little slow, but it was still a good weekend overall.
Cool. Yeah, I was at Scorpion Bar on Friday, and it was a pretty decent Friday at Scorpion Bar. Definitely a good dancing crowd.
Yeah, it was a good crowd for me at Friday too.
It was like early too. Like people started dancing a little earlier than normal, I feel. And
for those who don't know, Scorpion Bar is about a 7-minute walk from Shrine, so they're both. We both rely on the casino crowd.
Yeah. And then Saturday, I was up in Providence at Viva. It was my first time up there. Shout out to DJ Victim and Master J for bringing me up there.
Is that a new spot?
No, it's been around for a long time. I think they just started doing it recently, within the last couple months. And they're always a riot to hang out with, always a good time. So definitely shout out to them, and looking forward to hanging out with them again.
Awesome. And you had your set air on 104.1.
That's right. Shout out to Darth Vader for inviting me to do a guest set on his radio show. It's a local radio station, well, local to Connecticut. Reaches most of Connecticut, I think.
It's one of the bigger stations in Connecticut, for
based in like central Connecticut, I think. So it reaches a wide audience. It's a rock radio station, and this radio show is more electronic, like dubstep and electro house.
Still incorporates a little bit of rock.
Yeah, still trying to do some rock remixes that fit into those genres as well. And that mix is up on my SoundCloud page and my Facebook page. I'm sure I'll post a link here in the notes. And you just did a mix on there last week,
I did it the week before, yep, so we'll put up both our mixes.
Also, I think DJ Skills did a mix recently, so a lot of...
JM Skills.
A lot of local Connecticut guys getting on that, so big shout out to Darth Vader for letting us do that. And
I guess we'll get to some news.
Some news. Now. The big news of the weekend. This is TMZ worthy because it was on TMZ. Deadmau5 is now engaged to Kat Von D, who had previously been engaged to Jesse James.
Well, I had no idea who she was.
She's if you don't know who she is, pretty famous tattoo artist with a radio show on TLC, I want to say.
Is Jesse James the one who cheated on Someone.
Sandra Bullock or something
I
like
think
that.
I think he was at Shrine right after that whole episode happened. Do you remember that when Ice-T was there, Pamela Anderson, they were all together for some reason?
Or was that the guy from John and Kate Plus 8?
No, not. I know that guy came to Shrine once too,
Yeah.
but I think Jesse James was at Shrine.
Anyway, this is the DJ tie-in because it was Dead Mouse, and he is in another show of extreme tackiness proposed to her on Twitter, saying he couldn't wait till Christmas to propose, and sent a twit-picked a picture of the ring, saying it wasn't even finished yet. He was getting a stone changed out, and
Did he do it on purpose to be tacky, or?
I don't know. And then he tweets, "I'm engaged" and stuff. I'll tell you, if I did something like that to Nikki, she would have shot me.
Why? What does it matter? I thought this is all about true love. What is how you do it matter? I'm trying to figure that out.
If you ask a female, she'll tell you it matters quite a bit. So, Kat Von D apparently not a normal female. So, maybe lucky for Dead Mouse.
I never really understood. I'll have to talk to Nikki about this sometime. I never understood the way girls think. When I was playing poker for a living, girls that I was friends with would always tell me that I would never find a girlfriend because of my job. That I had to grow up and get a big boy job. And I always wondered why a job should matter to a girlfriend.
Because girls want to feel security.
But shouldn't they like me for who I am?
Not if they don't feel secure in you being able to support them.
I was making good money when I was playing poker.
Yeah, but it's not secure.
It was secure for me. I had 45 winning
How long
days.
did that last?
It lasted for about 2 years. But I mean that
doesn't sound like very much security to me.
it wasn't because of my skills at poker. It was because of laws that were passed on the worldwide interweb.
Well, exactly. So, I mean, does that matter as far as how secure that job is?
I mean, people lose their jobs all the time. A lot, people have better jobs than I have. I mean, look at the real estate market. What happened? I mean, would anyone have thought that wasn't secure? People could have said, I do certain job for the real estate, and it sounds really official and everything.
Well, the reality of how secure a job is and how secure a job appears to be are two different things, obviously. And girls want you to have a job that at least appears to be secure.
I want to find a girl that would love me even if I was homeless.
That's not going to happen. All right, let's move on to Dead Mouse. Apparently did an interview this week saying that he's going to end his residencies in Ibiza.
Did you say Dead Mouse?
Tiesto. Did I say Dead Mouse?
I think you did.
Maybe I did. Getting things mixed up here. Yeah, Tiesto ending his residencies in Ibiza starting next summer or next year at some point. I guess he's played in Ibiza pretty much every week for the last 10 years, he said, and just can't do it anymore. He'll definitely still do shows there, but they'll probably be one-offs instead of getting there every week. I imagine figuring out a way to get to Ibiza from wherever you are in the world once a week for 10 years would probably be pretty taxing.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it was taxing enough for me if I drive to Boston. That just takes a lot out of me.
And that's a quite a long flight from the States or from wherever. I mean, I don't even want to think about it. Shifty, DJ Shifty, did a new video for the Native Instruments Z2 mixer, kind of showing off some of the tricks between that and the new machine.
Just showing off in general, I think.
Showing off in general, yeah. He's
him and Inferno are both just show-offs.
They got some skills.
They do.
Lucky for them. So I enjoy watching them showing off, and I'm sure you guys do too.
Those things, it's like if you're gonna do something like that, you either have to go all the way with it, or just don't do it at all. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not something you can just do. Like kind of briefly get into doing that kind of stuff. You either have to go all the way or get out.
And both of them are going all the way, and I'm glad to see it for sure. DJ Scene just released a 12-12-12 mix for last week. In case you missed that, it's the last duplicate or triplicate date that we're gonna have until in our lifetime. So hopefully you guys made the most of it.
You never know how long we're gonna live.
I probably won't live till 1,000 more years. So
they're making advances in technology in the medical world.
It's great. I don't think I want to be with you on a Reading Report for another 1,000 years.
Imagine how many episodes we have.
That'd be some kind of record probably by then.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe more episodes than Seinfeld.
I think we could do it if you gave us 1,000 years.
All right, we want to shout out some of our followers on Facebook who we've been trying to ask you guys what you want us to talk about before we record on Mondays, and definitely got some good ideas from you guys. Ideas that I don't think we were able to work into this episode, but things we definitely want to try and work in the next couple weeks.
Joe D asked us about our opening set, and we're definitely going to do an update to the opening playlist. For now, we can tell you briefly, I guess, what we play in our opening set. I mean, I think we both have kind of different strategies a little bit, maybe. I always, I try to get as much new music as I can into my opening set. And I usually get that in even before people are dancing, really. And as they're kind of getting into the club, I'll just play like all new music. And sometimes it's becoming more of a challenge these days to me to be able to play new music without getting too heavy. Because look at the song David Guetta and Rihanna right there. Is it right here or right there?
One of those.
One of the two. That's like a real heavy song, and that's really not meant for that early. So that's normally a song, 120 plus beat Rihanna song would normally be perfect for the opening set before it really blows up. And this is one instance where it's really too heavy to play.
Yeah, that's kind of like the one instance where having remixes right away is kind of helpful, because sometimes there is that lower key remix that you can use as that opening set. But I mean, it is kind of unfortunate sometimes that that heavy sound is so infused in a lot of new pop music, because it really does make it difficult.
But there's still a lot of stuff that I could play early. I mean, most of these songs that are coming out have 5 or 6 remixes approximately, these label remixes, before everyone else gets a hold of them. And lately, out of all those, it seems like maybe there's 1 or 2 out of the 5 or 6 that are okay for opening, that aren't excessively Dutchy or electro-ish. Some good ones, they're getting a little old now, but like I was always playing Dave All Day remix of Chris Brown, Don't Judge Me. Is that the name of the song? Don't Judge Me? I think it is. And Usher, Numb. That was kind of stuff I was playing. And like there's remixes of Neon Hitch, Gold. That song never really hit. But while it was new, I was always playing an opening set. And then as people start to load in the club and you get the feeling they want to start dancing, that's when I'll start transitioning into maybe some of the recurrent stuff that I've taken out of my primetime set. And that's probably stuff that everyone plays when they open. And then eventually, leading up towards primetime is when I play my party rock anthem kind of stuff now, and my Dynamite and J-Lo and Pitbull on the floor kind of stuff.
Even Dance Again is kind of working.
That's a song that there's certain songs to me that once they drop out of primetime, as in they had their run and they weren't overly successful, a lot of stuff I don't really seem to ever play again. Like Dance Again, I'm sure it would work well. I haven't really played that since it left my primetime set.
Cool. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of disco house kind of stuff lately, disco and indie.
That's another thing I've been doing is if you want to play house opening set, I definitely recommend checking Beatport under the house section, not electro house. They have a whole list of genres. Under the house section is a lot of good opening stuff. Trying to think of some of the names that are good that I always check for. Is it Kraz Ibiza, I want to say, is one of the guys who has a lot of good stuff. Richard Scavo, I think, is another one. So there's a few guys, if you check that section often enough. And I'm sure some of you have heard some of the songs that would be in that section, like Inner City, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. There's a house version of that now that's perfect for opening sets. You'll find a lot of familiar sampled songs in there. Very good for opening.
Yeah. All right. Another question we got was a list of the best songs of 2012. This is from Casper Mendoza.
So we'll probably need some time to think about that a little bit better.
That'll probably be part of the Remy Award kind of 2012 wrap-up thing. Are we doing the Remys?
Oh, we're going to do the Remys.
We should probably get that out this week.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it is coming up, huh?
Yeah. If you have any thoughts on the Remix Report Awards for this year, any suggestions, we'll probably do some kind of nomination questionnaire process and then voting maybe or something.
I
like
think
that.
we should also do something where me and you kind of give our picks. I wish
Editor's
that
choice.
Yeah, I think I was thinking for next year we should probably look for stuff as the year's going on and take notes and kind of we should give like props to people. Like I was driving the other day listening to some trap stuff in my car, and I was thinking we should do something like to give props to all the people who were on that movement before it blew up.
Yeah.
I give a lot of props to Rocket Scientists for doing those remixes before trap blew up. Who does the Drankenstein stuff? Is that I know the series. It's a big open format DJ who does that. We'll have to find out and give him a shout out too, because he was on that kind of before, and he kind of helped that movement blow up. Let me find out who that was right now.
Yeah, but definitely keeping track of things throughout the year would probably be a smart thing to do. I know that's something the Rocket Scientists do for their Blast Off CDs. I was just listening to the Rocket Scientists Shut Up and Talk podcast. Their first episode, they talked about that a little bit. Or actually, their second episode, they talked about that a little bit as far as taking notes in your phone of songs that you want to add to your next mix, so you continually have a list and can go back and find dope tracks that you may have forgot about a month from now when you actually get around to doing a mix.
Drankenstein is Bird Peterson.
There you go.
So shout out to Bird Peterson.
All right, so yeah, we did want to mention that Shut Up and Talk podcast again. New feature on Remix Report and the Rocket Scientists website. So it's like an hour-long audio-only podcast. Not always DJ topics, just kind of what's going on in the life of Solars and Guzzi, and it's definitely a lot of fun to listen to. You can subscribe to it on iTunes. Definitely go rate that. You can also subscribe to Remix Report to listen to as audio-only on iTunes. And we definitely appreciate all the support there, and if you can rate us 5 stars on iTunes, that would be very helpful to us.
You don't want an honest vote?
Well, hopefully 5 stars is honest. No?
I hope.
If you don't want to vote 5 stars, please don't vote.
So now on to the discussion part of this. First off, let's talk about what happened in Connecticut.
Okay.
So I think everyone knows. I don't think we need to recap exactly what happened. I know. I figured this was good to talk about because even like the sports station that I listened to was just nonstop, just all about this.
That's really the biggest story right now. I mean, for good reason. So
now I want to ask you a question. Is it fucked up that this didn't really surprise me too much that this happened? Because that was...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are asking, like, what can be done about this kind of thing, and should it be surprising, and is it because of this or that? And it's like...
I mean, this isn't going to be the last one of these.
The thing is, it's more and more unfortunate every time it happens.
It's always unfortunate.
Of course. And but the thing is, I think if people are that determined to do something like this, that it's going to happen no matter what. Like, there's not really preventative measures that can successfully prevent something like this from happening.
I always tell people if I wanted to do something like this, I'm pretty sure I could. Not that I have any interest in doing this, and I never will. But that's what always scares me is I try to think how easy it was. If I was going to do it, I think it wouldn't be that hard. I mean, I didn't even know that there was this much security at schools. Like, supposedly
it's
they had
pretty
to...
crazy. You got to get buzzed in or anything. I did a career day at the school just recently, and yeah, you got to get buzzed in, and
I wonder if it's
you
like that at
immediately
my
have
high
to go to the
school.
office. Otherwise, if anybody in the hallway sees you, like, and they don't see like your name tag, they'll immediately like scrutinize you and ask you what you're doing there, and it is pretty intense. I mean, it's definitely a lot more intense than it was when we were in high school, and I mean, rightfully so. I think. I mean, those are all good measures to be taking, but if someone is determined to carry out an act like this, they're going to do it whether they have guns or available or not. They're going to find another means to do it if they don't have guns available. Obviously, that doesn't mean that access to weapons like that shouldn't be limited.
I'm 100% against guns. 100%. I think they talk about how all right, this isn't the time to talk about the gun argument, the gun debate. Let's let this settle first. I think totally the opposite. I think why waste any time? We saw something wrong happen. Let's fix this as fast as we can. Let's talk about this right now. Let's.
I agree. It's a perfect time to talk about it.
And I know, the beautiful thing about us having a forum is we get to express our opinions. A lot of people who had, like on the sports show, they would always be like, all right, let's not talk about the gun thing. Like, we don't want to get into that. I want to get into that for a second.
Well, you might get criticized saying you should be kicked off Remix Report for talking about all this stuff. Like, what's his face on the NFL was.
I heard about that. Yeah, that's probably not the place to talk about that so much. But here we get to talk about whatever we want. I spend all this time doing Weekend Weapons. JD spends even much more time than that doing all these links. You don't know how much time goes behind the scenes. So if we want to talk about guns, we can talk about. we deserve to be able to talk about the gun thing. So I just want to say first of all that the whole thing about it being in the Constitution, or not the Constitution, is it the Constitution?
Yep.
Yeah. That whole thing. All right. If it's wrong, who cares that it's in the Constitution? Let's fix it. So don't say we can't change it because it's in the Constitution. I don't think the people who wrote the Constitution ever saw things coming to this. And we see there's a problem. Why worry about if it's in the Constitution or not? Let's just see if it's working or not. If it's not working, then definitely have to change it.
Well, I do believe in the right to bear arms. I do think people should be allowed to own guns.
I'm 100% against that.
There are things that I think should be much more limited. For one, the assault rifle ban should definitely be in effect again. I think like one of the major things is the magazines for these assault rifles that hold like 30 or more rounds of ammunition. I mean, that's ridiculous. There's no need for that. I mean, there's no need for assault rifles out there at all, except for in the military. I mean, people don't use assault rifles for hunting, things like that. It's ridiculous. So I think ban all assault rifles. Definitely ban ammunition clips that are like ridiculous in size, like 30 is unnecessary. And I think definitely more stringent background checks, and that's really not enough. I mean, part of the problem is a lot of people are gun collectors, and I think that's okay as well. But I think if something that I haven't really heard anybody talk about is if you have just a regular gun license, I think that should probably only get you, maybe you're allowed to have 2 guns with a regular license. So you can have maybe a handgun and a rifle, something like that. If you want more than 2 guns, if you want to start some crazy collection, then you have to go through a more stringent background check. Someone has to actually come to your house, make sure that all these guns are secured properly, no one else has access to them, all that kind of stuff. I think that there definitely needs to be much more rigorous oversight on all this stuff. I do believe in the right to bear arms because if this country were invaded at some point in the future, I mean, it's possible it could happen.
That's what our military is for.
But the military is not always going to be there necessarily to protect us. I mean...
So you're saying that if things ever come down to hand-to-hand combat with just the citizens in our neighborhood, is what you're saying?
Not necessarily citizens in our neighborhood, but you never know. You never know what could happen. Honestly,
I'm 100%
really
against the right to bear arms.
You don't think people should have the right to protect themselves?
Against what? Against other guns? Well, let's get rid of those other guns. They won't have.
But that's never going to happen. I mean, let's live in reality here.
Well, here's the thing.
And
though.
the fact is, all these guns are already out there. There's no way to get them out.
So do these people who rob houses, do they ever consider that the person they're robbing might have a gun? That usually doesn't factor in.
Usually not, no.
So then that person, I'm trying to think of how I'm gonna say this. That person doesn't really go to houses based on that. So as a person, as a citizen, having a gun in your house doesn't necessarily deter robbers. So I just don't think it matters that much.
If everybody had a gun in their house, it probably would.
If everybody did. So, but I understand the fact that...
Not saying that everybody should have a gun in their house.
If you took the guns away from people, I don't really think it would change how much how often people robbed houses. I understand that maybe those people want to have a chance at protecting themselves, but if we were able to get rid of all the guns, I think those robbers would have a harder time at getting the guns themselves. I know I heard the counter argument that coke is illegal in our country, but people still do coke, and obviously I agree that people will still be able to get guns somehow, but I think if coke was legal, I think there'd be a lot more people doing it, and I just think that if guns were illegal, there would be a little bit less people who have guns.
Well, there's no way that that's ever going to happen. They're never going to make guns illegal. So what's a better way to solve this issue?
No, well, why aren't they ever going to make guns illegal?
Because it is in the Constitution. It is.
Just change it. It didn't work.
It's never going to happen.
Look what just happened.
It's never going to happen.
But I'm trying to be realistic here with what should happen.
So people shouldn't be allowed to hunt and things like that?
No, that's the whole thing, is that I hear people saying that, all right, you take away our assault rifles, what are you going to take next? Are you going to take away our ability to hunt? If that's what it means to stop school shootings, then I think we might have to consider that, yes. Take away hunting. I don't know what to tell you.
I think
Sorry.
school shootings kill far fewer kids than, say, secondhand smoking and all these other things.
I think we should ban cigarettes, too.
Well, do you see that happening?
Probably not, because of all the money. I understand exactly the shitty reasons that it won't happen, but I'm just saying that if we want to be realistic and we want to see what the problem is.
So we ban guns, and then we have someone who's dead set on hurting a large group of people.
I didn't say we get rid of police.
So just having police is going to stop people from doing this? We have police right now.
No, but
they're still doing it.
Those shootings were going to happen anyway.
Whether there were guns or not, right?
Yes, except I think those shootings might happen a little bit less if guns were illegal. So I think we might be able to save a few lives.
So instead, we're going to have someone stabbing people, probably, right? Like just the same day that happened, 22 kids were stabbed in China at a school.
I don't think stabbings would take the place of these shootings.
22 kids stabbed in China.
I think it can possibly happen. I just don't think it would. They would necessarily take the place of the shootings.
So you think getting rid of guns is just going to solve this whole problem?
No, definitely not solve it 100%. No.
What percentage?
I haven't really thought it that deep. But I think it definitely will help. I think it would have stopped. I think it would have stopped this shooting right here.
I don't know, I still think that people do have the right to bear arms and have the ability to protect themselves. I'll give you a scenario. All right, and there's a show on TV right now called Revolution, which is obviously a fictional show, but on a premise that I feel could definitely happen in the future, which is the electric grid gets taken out completely. We lose electricity. No way to get it back for quite a long time. Let's say we're out of electricity for 3 months, 6 months, a year. What's going to happen? Complete anarchy. And you don't have any way to protect yourself.
So if it's going to take this crazy hypothetical situation.
It's not really that crazy.
It is kind of crazy.
It's really not.
It was pretty crazy when I lost power for 5 days during the hurricane. I can't imagine going years.
Do you know how susceptible our power grid is to just a cyber attack right now? It's ridiculous. There's no protection. None.
I think it's a little crazier than you think it would be if this happened.
It's really not. So what like that's really a more likely scenario than us getting invaded by some foreign power and having to use that to protect ourselves. And this, I think, is probably the most likely scenario.
There can still be, if there's going to be riots, there's going to be riots, and having Joe the plumber from next door who has his gun isn't going to stop this thing anyway. If there's going to be a riot.
No, it's not going to stop the whole riots, but it's going to stop people from hurting his family.
Maybe. Not if they have more guns than he does.
No, but if he doesn't have any, he has no chance.
Just like most of society, he'll be without a gun. I mean, it's going to suck if that's what it comes to, but it's going to suck.
So you think that's okay for him and his family not to have any way to protect themselves?
If it's for the greater good, then yes.
What is the greater good at that point?
Stopping school shootings and all the unnecessarily violence that's in this country. If we can stop most of that, I think that's the greater good. Then you're worried about your little crazy scenario.
It's not that crazy. That's the scary part.
So what percent of the time does your scenario occur?
I'd say there's probably a pretty good chance it will occur at some point in the future.
Years without power?
Yeah, so there's probably a good chance. Yeah.
Define good chance. What percent are we talking? Give me a little range here. This is pretty big news.
15%? I don't know.
So we're breaking some big news on Remix Report. There's a 15% chance that you're going to be going years without power in the future. That's pretty big news. I think our listeners would be interested in. I'm pretty interested in it.
It's definitely a chance.
Anyway, my whole issue with the gun thing is, in anything in general, is that just don't give me an excuse of because it's always been this way is why it has to stay this way. That's what I don't want to hear. And that's
I don't think that's
when you tell me that it's in the
no,
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about when you tell me something's in the Constitution. That's why it can't be changed. That's pretty much what you're saying. It's been this way, so it has to stay this way. That's what I think.
So what if should this have ever been in the Constitution?
Things were much different back then. They have no idea what this world is going to be like 300 years later.
Well, what's the big difference? What's changed so much?
The world, everything. I mean,
what's changed so much where they should have had the right to bear arms and we shouldn't?
I don't really know. I don't really even know how to answer that much. But I can tell you all the differences that they didn't have. The media wasn't like it was. Do they have the assault rifles? They didn't have those.
No, I agree. Assault rifles should definitely not be out there. Those should be completely banned.
Just the way people think was just a lot different back then. I don't know if
Really?
I don't know if they had as many psychos back then
Pretty sure they did.
who were messed up on medications and all that. I don't know if things were. I mean, I wasn't around back then, so it's tough for me to say. But just from what I gather, things have changed a lot.
What you gather sounds like you've done a lot of research on this.
No, I'm just. I remember seeing pictures, like the little drawings of the Revolutionary War. Things just look. I mean, I know they didn't have Novocaine back then.
You think we would be the United States of America that we are now if they didn't have the right to bear arms?
Probably not. No, I mean they always say that if you add like one fly or if you just throw a different if you took a person and placed them 5 steps to the left back in the 1750s, it could change the world as we know it. So if you change any little thing, it could have definitely changed the outcome. Yeah.
Interesting.
So we're actually running on a time limit here.
All right, so let's do our little DJ tie-in here. Let's just give a little smidgen of advice.
Not mentioning any names.
No,
here.
let's just say, right now, it's probably the worst time, and this song should probably be retired forever now. Pumped Up Kicks
By
should
Foster
probably
People.
never be played.
No, and it probably shouldn't have been played at a private dining event at the casino on Saturday, the day after the shooting. That was probably
Definitely not.
That was probably a bad time to play that. Yeah, I didn't do it. And Jay didn't do it. We're not going to name any names. It was probably just a bad idea.
Yeah, and I imagine a lot of people probably won't play it. And it's kind of funny, like, when was a song ever truly appropriate? I would say,
that's what
honestly, probably never.
Yeah.
And
I understand the artistic value of the song. I actually read about it on Wikipedia. It's no different than a movie through the eyes of a killer or something like that. And that's what this song was. They said that it would have been too easy to do it through the eyes of a victim. They wanted to portray through the eyes of a killer. I definitely see the artistic value.
And it's a super catchy song.
But as far as the appropriateness of it, I understand why it's not appropriate.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Oh, and another thing, you asked me what's the difference between now and back in the Revolutionary War days. Those kids didn't have those video games with shooting everyone. So these kids are in a different era.
They have never proved video games do anything
and they haven't proved the otherwise the other way either. So.
Exactly. So I think using the argument either way is inappropriate.
No, because what we're saying is that we don't know. We're saying that there's a chance that it could cause this. Is what we're saying.
Maybe. I think if people are that crazy, it's going to end up happening anyway.
I mean, it's like the whole argument about rap music and lyrics and. Like, there's a song on the radio, "I'm a motherfucking coke boy," that they play on the radio all the time. It's like...
No.
And then the station has... the same station that plays that song has a day where they talk about community events and what they can do to stop the violence and stuff.
It is pretty ironic.
It is. All right. So I guess that's that topic. We could probably talk about that forever, and I'm sure anyone who's been interested in that has probably been listening to the radio and the news, so they're probably tired of it by now. Or if they're not tired of it, they probably don't want to hear it as much from us. So moving on.
All right, so we'll summarize this quickly too, because this has been beaten to death. But another DJ kicked off the decks again. There's like become the trend of 2012. Everybody thinks it's a cool thing to do now. DJ Shadow kicked off the decks at Mansion in Miami. Mansion,
Tommy Sunshine was kicked off somewhere too.
At W.i.P in New York. So Mansion has kicked off multiple DJs now.
Fuck Mansion, man! I can't believe they're doing that. They don't keep it real.
Yeah, Joe Maz had the unfortunate backlash of people thinking he was the one to tell him he had to get kicked off the decks, which is not the truth.
Everyone showed the video of Joe Maz whispering something to DJ Shadow right before he got on the mic and told the crowd he was being kicked off, and everyone thought that it was Joe Maz who gave him the bad news. Actually, according to what Joe said on Twitter, he was just telling DJ Shadow that he was a big influence in his career, which I think DJ Shadow has influenced probably a lot of DJs.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, kicked off. Tommy Sunshine also, as we mentioned. Tommy Sunshine had some stuff to say to Vibe magazine. He said, a little quote from him, everyone is now an expert of this music, especially ones who pay big money to consume it, not to mention the clowns who supposedly run clubs. Basically, their number one priority is their clients, who spend money in bottle service, and what they say dictates the music direction.
Now, I've heard other stuff from Tommy Sunshine before, and I'm generally on his side. I generally
Me too.
Agree with some of his, especially in the battle with him and DJ Sneak. I was definitely on Tommy Sunshine's side, but
Yes.
I don't know if I'm on his side as much with this one.
I am not either. I mean, really, the people who pay all the money so your venue can be open are the ones that dictate the kind of music you play there? Really? Like, yeah, that's business. The people that pay you...
Like, yeah.
The people that pay you because they like a certain thing that you do. And if you don't do that thing anymore, then they're not going to continue to pay you. And that's bad business.
I promise that, and I said this before, at these clubs, when people have gotten kicked off the decks, the crowd was not going crazy for this person, going nuts, ordering tons of drinks. It wasn't just the best time ever. And then the club said, you know what? We're pulling them off. I guarantee you that didn't happen because the club is there. It's a business. They want to make money. They want people to be happy, so they're coming back. And I promise they're not going to do anything, at least in their view, to disrupt that. So it must not have been that case when they kicked these guys off.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, a lot of these cases are either mispromotion by the club or promoter on the event, some kind of miscommunication, just choosing the wrong DJ for the party. And it's not even necessarily a reflection on the DJ that they got kicked off. I mean, obviously it appears that way because it's very personal, and in the moment it seems very personal, but it's more a reflection on the people throwing the party. And
like Tommy Sunshine said that they asked him to play more vocal house when the song that the party was like promoting wasn't even a vocal track.
Yeah, which is weird. I mean, obviously that party should not have been at that club with that crowd. It should have been somewhere else.
But putting myself in Tommy Sunshine's shoes or DJ Shadow's shoes, all right, you got to realize you're there, and you might say to yourself, you know what, this isn't going over very well. I know I was booked here. Fortunately, it's not working out, and the crowd's not reacting, so I kind of understand if they want me off. I mean, I'm obviously still going to get paid. If I don't, that's a problem. 100% that's a problem. But if the crowd's not reacting to what I'm playing, I can understand why they'd want me off. They're running a business. I understand that.
Yeah, and obviously if this happened to me, I'd be pretty pissed too. But you really do have to look at the bigger picture here and kind of see it for what it really is, and that it's not meant to be a personal attack. It's just trying to keep the people that are paying the bills happy. And if those people are not happy, then you need to switch it up.
You know, we had a couple friends get kicked off in Connecticut a couple of years ago, and I think they were a little drunk at the time, and they understood. They didn't fight back. They kind of understood. They said they had a off night, but I always think it's awkward for the people who have to go on after them. And in this case, it was Joe Maz going on.
That must be so awkward.
Shadow.
Yeah. I feel bad for him, honestly, because you're in a tough position because it is a DJ you respect, so you kind of feel weird taking over for them, and then trying to get the crowd into it after that has happened cannot be easy. I mean, how do you really? What song do you play to recover from that? You know.
In the club, definitely. 50 Cent. Shout out to Joe Maz anyway. He just did a remix, or it's actually he had it done for a little while, but it's being released tomorrow, Tuesday the 18th, of the Brass Knuckles song "Bad Habits." So that should be out on Beatport tomorrow. So check that out. Shout out to Brass Knuckles, Joe Maz.
Cool.
Is there anything else that we gotta mention?
I think that pretty much sums it up.
We have a couple dope interviews coming up this week, and I think we're gonna air one of them next week. Solar Disco, and then DJ Q. Plus, we have a lot more in the future. I think we already locked up Dante the Don from the Barstool Blackout tour. We should be having him coming up soon.
Definitely got a lot of big things coming. Also, we're working on a redesign of the site. Do want to mention that. So if you have...
When you say we, what does that mean?
I'm redesigning the site. So if you have any input on features you'd like to see on the site, features you would not like to see on the site.
Please, no more J Spring and JD talking about guns.
I mean, really, any feedback you can give us on the site, and especially geared towards design of the site and things like that, I'd really appreciate it now to try and kind of guide me as I take that on. So it's definitely it's looking really good, I think, and I'm really excited to show it to you guys soon, hopefully. So. Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll be talking to you guys very soon.
As always,
Again,
comment down there.
Comments, email us, remixreport@gmail.com.
Go download the podcast. Give us 5 stars on iTunes.
Please.
See ya.
Remixreport.com